Good afternoon, everyone. I am joined today by Lieutenant Governor Jon Husted. We're pleased to be releasing our executive budget recommendations for fiscal year 2022 and 2023. The budget we are sending to the legislature invests in Ohio's people, its businesses, and its communities, with the goal of Ohio emerging even stronger from the COVID-19 pandemic. Major crises can be powerfully transformative events. After what has been an extremely challenging time in Ohio, we have an opportunity with this budget to make the kinds of investments that will bring renewal and recovery for the great state of Ohio. Contained within our proposed budget is our new Investing in Ohio initiative, which strategically invests $1 billion in Ohio's future. This is one-time spending. We will be doing the following. We'll be supporting Ohio's small businesses, strengthening Ohio's communities, growing Ohio's skilled workforce, and telling Ohio's story to the rest of the country. Now you may ask, how can we do this? We are in a position to make this one-time expenditure, really for the following reasons. One, in the beginning of the pandemic, we froze state government spending. Two, We have reduced our permanent state workforce by 1,500 employees. And 3, we've saved money by refinancing our state debts. We made the hard choices early on that put us on stable footing and really put us in a position today to lead on economic recovery. And the fourth thing that enables us to do this is that our plan really is possible because of the federal government's funding and our careful management of those dollars. We need to keep reminding ourselves that federal support is one-time money, and we need to spend it on one-time expenses to help Ohioans recover quickly. These are one-time dollars that will not repeat. This is not ongoing revenue for building ongoing programs. We're using this unique opportunity to be bold, but also to be responsible, and to put Ohio on top for the future. Lieutenant Governor and I know that COVID-19 pandemic has really taken a toll on so many Ohioans and on so many Ohio businesses. We are determined to do all that we can to protect Ohioans' health and to put Ohio's economy on the path to greater prosperity. Right now, we're getting the vaccine out as quickly as we can and offering support and relief to businesses. But we must keep going, and we must do even more. The Investing in Ohio initiative is a critical component of the executive budget that we are proposing and will provide significant support to Ohio's recovery. So now let me describe our Investing in Ohio initiative. I want to start with support for Ohio's small businesses, which accounts for $460 million. A successful economic recovery must start with our small businesses. The Investing in Ohio initiative will provide nearly $500 million in relief to small businesses in the entertainment area, the hospitality industries. That includes bars, that includes restaurants, all of which were hit especially hard by this pandemic. Further, it would include $20 million specifically for businesses that just started in 2020. Many of these businesses were excluded from receiving financial assistance in the past. We have to ensure they are included this time because they too have faced great hardship. Now, as part of our plan, we will also protect against any tax increase on small business, any tax increase, period. Second, we will enhance the services offered to small businesses through our minority and small business assistance centers to help them save money, adapt to shifting consumer habits, and learn to use new high-tech tools. Let me now move to how we intend to strengthen our Ohio communities. And this is $450 million dedicated to doing just that. Key to our recovery are vibrant and strong communities. Our communities are drivers of economic growth, but unfortunately, they have also been hit very hard by this pandemic. The Investing in Ohio initiative will make a targeted investment of nearly $500 million in key infrastructure projects in places from Lima to Marietta, Ashtabula to Portsmouth. Investing in infrastructure projects will attract more jobs, bring more investment into the community, and improve the quality of life for the residents. These dollars can help local municipalities get important projects across the finish line. An example could be using this money to expand access to clean drinking water, to restore blighted properties, or to prepare job-ready sites for communities. These activities will lead to new investment and new development opportunities. In addition to infrastructure projects, we will also make a new significant investment to expand broadband throughout the state of Ohio. In summary, $450 million will be invested to strengthen Ohio's communities. That includes an allocation of $200 million for infrastructure and $250 million for broadband. The pandemic has posed many challenges to us as a state, to our communities, and to our individuals. But at the same time, the pandemic has renewed the focus on work-life balance and having a good quality of life. We have a great story to tell, and we intend to tell it. We will be investing $50 million in this effort. I keep hearing stories of young people, and sometimes not so young people, leaving the West Coast, leaving the East Coast, looking for a more affordable place to live, looking for a place with strong communities, things to see, things to do, a place to raise a family. And Ohioans who have moved away are also seeing new opportunities to come back home. And we want to be talking to them as well. It is really time for us to be bold. We need to tell people what all of us already know, that Ohio is the best place to find your future, the best place to raise a family, to start a business, start a career, to gain education. The Investing in Ohio initiative will provide $50 million to tell a national audience about Ohio's excellent career opportunities, our top-tier colleges and universities, which we're very, very proud of, our amazing getaways, and the inviting communities that we have for people to call home. This is really a window of opportunity. A recent study of moving company data showed that in 2020, Ohio was among the top 4 destinations for relocation in the country. As people are packing up and leaving the coast to look for more affordable places to live, more affordable places to locate their businesses, live their lives, we want to invite them here by telling our great Ohio story. We want to position Ohio as the place to be. We have all the desirable elements. And after the pandemic proved that many people at least, can work anywhere, we want to convince them to come to Ohio and work and play and stay. As part of our plan, we will engage in a powerful marketing campaign strategically targeting areas across the United States to showcase and promote the desirable and affordable quality of life right here in Ohio. The campaign will emphasize Ohio's diverse people, our cultures, opportunities, locations, and so much more. By investing in Ohio, we can grow and strengthen Ohio for years to come. Our proposed budget contains fresh elements to put Ohio on a positive course for a post-COVID future. It also stays true to our administration's priorities from day one by investing in Ohio families, in the education and well-being of our children, in Ohio's workforce, in our communities, in our natural resources, and in our efforts to treat behavioral health issues and help prevent substance use disorders. These are all consistent and were contained in our first budget, and you will find them again in this budget. Continuing investment in these areas is critical to our recovery efforts and to moving Ohio forward. You will find details of the Investing in Ohio initiative and other parts of our executive budget as part of the fact sheets my office will be releasing. These, along with the Blue Book, will be available this afternoon on budget.ohio.gov. Director Murnix will be available at 3:30 today to answer reporters' specific budget questions. The new initiative and our budget as a whole will truly help all Ohioans move forward together as we emerge stronger than ever from the COVID-19 pandemic. This is truly an investment in our future. Looking forward to working with the General Assembly and the leadership teams under Senate President Matt Huffman, Speaker of the House Bob Cupp, during this process as we move forward. And looking forward to working with all the members of the General Assembly on this. Now, Lieutenant Governor Husted will outline other key elements of the Investing in Ohio initiative.
Great. Thanks, Governor. I know that one consistent point that you made is that this is a continuation of the vision that you laid out right from the beginning of the administration, investing in Ohio, its people, and its future. I can tell you as somebody this is at least my 10th state budget a biennial budget that I've been involved in, and this is a responsible, balanced budget. A lot of times in the past when there have been economic challenges, there's been a tendency to create fiscal cliffs with one-time spending, one-time revenue. This does not create a fiscal cliff. This is a responsible budget that uses one-time spending on one-time revenue on one-time expenditures, and keeps a great foundation for funding our budget well into the future. And what you outlined will fuel our economic recovery. It will be a year of recovery from both a health, educational, and economic point of view, and this budget outline and the economic package certainly does that. It's not just what we spend, it's what we get in return for that, and we're gonna see some fantastic outcomes as it relates to jobs, careers, higher wages, and that gives me an opportunity now to transition to the workforce element of this economic recovery plan. We are championing career, technical, vocational education training for tens of thousands of Ohioans to find quality, good paying jobs without the high cost of a college education. It's going to lead to industry credentials and higher paying jobs for tens of thousands of people. This Investing in Ohio initiative allocates $70 million into vitally important workforce development efforts. Our administration laid this groundwork at the beginning to upskill Ohioans for a tech-infused economy through initiatives like the Tech Cred program, where businesses can upskill their existing workforce, giving those employees more job security, higher earning potential, and giving those employers the kind of talented workforce they need to compete and win against the rest of the world. Our goal starting out was to have 10,000 people a year upskill through Tech Cred, not knowing whether we could achieve that or not. That was an aspirational goal we had. And just in the first 6 rounds of this, we've had nearly 1,000 employers apply for Tech Cred funding, and that's supported the earning potential to earn over 15,000 credentials. So the demand is there. We know that. And even amid the COVID-19 pandemic, when we saw people lose jobs, and many businesses still said, and are echoing this very loudly right now, that they still can't find the right kind of talent, that they need a workforce with modern skills. And we need to help them do that, but more importantly, we need to help our people get access to these skills so that they can move forward. And that's why I'm glad that as part of this, we're announcing today boosting investment in this program, Tech Cred and the partner program, the individual micro credential assistance program. $5 million right out of the box in fiscal year 21. We'll add 5,000 credentials to this, and then $25 million will add another 40,000 tech-focused credentials in fiscal year 22 and 23. Really, what do we say about this? These are robotics. These are machine-assisted or computerized machining skills. It's cybersecurity. It's analytics. It's all of these. You don't have to go away to college for 4 years to get these. You can get these quickly in short-term programs that lead to the skills that will help you move forward and help your business move forward. The plan also includes $15 million in targeted workforce development efforts for economically distressed communities in rural and urban Ohio through organizations that we've worked with in the business community, through the education community, that will help expand these really successful programs for reskilling for in-demand employment opportunities. As part of this, as an additional investment, we will have $16 million that will go into helping high school students earn, this is our goal, this will be a record for us, we believe we can get it, 70,000 workforce credentials a year out of our high schools, with an additional $25 million investment that's recommended to help schools offer new high-demand credentials, in-demand credentials for students. What do we mean by this? A lot of times students are taking programs. They're getting the skills, but then they don't pay for the test. They don't go through the testing that would allow them to actually earn that credential that they could take to an employer and say, I'm qualified for that job out there. Through these initiatives, we're going to qualify more students for credentials. We're going to set up incentives for schools to help build these in-demand credential programs and help those students be career ready right out of high school. We're really excited about the potential this has to give Ohio a competitive advantage and help our high school students be prepared for that future. So it's educating our existing workforce, preparing that future workforce with our high school students, but also we're going to expand the Ohio to Work program. This is helping those Ohioans who lost their jobs during the pandemic, whose jobs may have gone away and aren't coming back. Well, we're going to help them with a career coach, with supported services, rapid retraining to become employed for these in-demand jobs. We started a pilot program in Cleveland. We want to expand that to other places in the state. And we're also going to fund industry sector partnerships grants with this to help businesses, schools, training providers build out those programs in their communities, reach more students, reach more adults to really serve the need of their local economy. We know this has worked very well. Ask the Manufacturers Association how vital this has been to them at helping the businesses, these great manufacturing jobs we have across the state get filled. We're going to expand that program. And then we're also going to make sure that programs that we exist right now on internship, export internship programs, diversity inclusion internship programs, and the Choose Ohio First STEM scholarship program. All of those where we're trying to reach non-traditional folks to get them involved, non-traditional students to get them involved in STEM and in other types of internships that will lead to great careers. And then finally on the workforce front, I want to emphasize this. We're going to guarantee that every student in Ohio has access to a computer science education. I want to repeat that. Every student in Ohio, a guarantee that you'll have access to a computer science education. This is really important as technology changes the way every industry works. We're going to make sure that students have that access. And as part of that recovery, we talk about this as a recovery, but it's also creating new opportunities that never existed before for hundreds of thousands of Ohioans, and that's broadband access. Broadband access is incredibly important. And I've had the privilege of visiting small towns and rural communities around the state, and even some in our urban areas, where they just don't have access. They can't participate in the modern economy, the modern education system, the modern healthcare system without it. And, you talk to people and said, hey, I can't telework. I don't have access to broadband. I can't be on Zoom classes at the same time my sister is because we don't have enough broadband access in our home to have access to be able to have the bandwidth to participate. We're gonna really invest big in changing all that, and we don't have time to wait around. The time is now. And there will be a major effort, as you outlined, Governor, $290 million in broadband funding over the biennium, including a $250 million one-time grant program and the $20 million per year in ongoing grant support. The largest portion of this money will be about building broadband access for people who don't have it. People who can't participate in that modern economy, education, or healthcare system, to help with most of this money is going to go towards access and affordability. I want to thank, it's important to thank our legislative partners because we know that Representative Carfagna and Senator McCauley have been good partners in this, along with the legislative leadership. It's important that we go with them. this, and I know how excited they will be to get started. So I guess in conclusion, Governor, I would like to say this. This is a fantastic package of recovery for economic disparity, for opportunity disparity. We're addressing that with the way we're investing these dollars on broadband, on job training. That leads to real jobs that exist out there in the economy that just are not filled right now. It focuses on those businesses that were hardest hit and those communities who need access to job-ready sites. It's an inclusive recovery plan for rural and urban Ohio. And Governor, thanks for your leadership and allowing us to put this package together, for leading this effort. This will make 2021 a year of recovery in Ohio. It will add the fuel to the flame of Ohio's economic engine, and we're excited to get started.
Lieutenant Governor, thank you very much. We're ready for questions.
Governor, first question today is from Danny Eldridge at Hannah News Service.
Hello, Governor.
Danny?
Can you talk a little bit about where this money is coming from? Is any from the rainy day fund or federal government? And what kind of assumptions are you making about any federal package that may come?
Well, for budget purposes, we don't ever assume anything until we see it, until it's actually passed and signed into law. I outlined where some of this money has come from. We cut back very early on when this pandemic was early. We froze hiring in the state, which has resulted in a significant drop in number of state employees. We froze spending. In addition to that, though, if you want to look at a big item, frankly, a big item is what the federal government has done just in regard to Medicaid. That is a huge ticket item, and they have come in with money. And if you project that out to the end of this year, which is what the Biden administration has committed to doing, that's about $2.4 billion right there. So this is what we cannot count on. And what we don't budget for and what we don't assume is it goes one day beyond that. So it's going to end December 31st. We're not assuming anything beyond that. And as Lieutenant Governor said, we do not want to create a cliff. We don't want to be in a situation someday where we say, oh, there's this huge hole. So we don't assume anything. This is a balanced budget. It contains no tax increase. It's got one-time expenditures that match one-time income, and we don't go beyond that. There's no cliff. There's no fiscal cliff that it creates. So it's a very conservative, but also very forward-looking. It's a conservative, forward-looking budget that we're very proud to send to the General Assembly today.
Next question is from Adrienne Robbins at WCMH in Columbus.
Governor, thank you for taking our questions. Looking at this package, you mentioned the help to small businesses and local municipalities who have obviously suffered during this pandemic. Will there be any direct assistance to individuals who have suffered from the pandemic, whether it be rent assistance or anything like that? And if not, why did you think that wouldn't be the correct approach to move Ohio forward?
Well, as you know, if you look at how we've allocated the federal dollars in the past, as we look to the future, the same thing. Some of that has gone directly to individuals. So, what we're trying to do is to make sure that these businesses that employ people are able to continue and to move forward. And we know the businesses that have been hit the hardest. We know where the unemployment is higher in many of those businesses. We want them to be able to continue to employ people. We also want them to be able to bring back people as this economy starts moving forward. And so this, to an extent, is still bridge money. We're not out of this epidemic yet. We don't know exactly what the future is going to bring. So this additional money is going to keep people working. It's going to get more people working as we move forward. Of course, what we hope happens is as we are able to vaccinate more and more people will candidly feel freer to go out into the economy, go to a restaurant, go to a bar, go to a retail store. And I think that's going to be a gradual thing as more and more people get vaccinated. So the individuals who have lost jobs, this is one way to help them really is to get them back to work. John?
Yeah, thanks, Governor. It's a great point because every time you help a small business, you help keep the people employed there who need to have those jobs. I do want to add that there's obviously a couple of other ways that the federal programs are helping those individuals. We know about the pandemic unemployment assistance for people who've lost their jobs, but there's also another included in our budget from the federal government is $565 million in rental assistance. So there's a big chunk of money in there for that too. Today's focus was on the economic recovery piece, but as the director will cover later, there are a lot of other aspects of the budget that we have set money aside for those purposes.
Look, we've set aside significant money, significant programming for mental health. We know that as a result of this pandemic, we have some real needs. And so we invest significant dollars in that. You'll see that when Director Murnix goes through the dollars. The same thing for drug abuse. We know we saw an uptick in overdoses early on during the pandemic. We know that this is increased drug use. So we're putting money there to both of those directly help citizens of the state of Ohio.
Next question is from Jim Province at the Toledo Blade.
Hi again, Governor. Can you give us an idea of how you're handling H2 Ohio in this budget, and how does that fit in, if it does, with your infrastructure development program?
Yeah, you're going to see H2 Ohio fully funded. And that money, of course, is flowing through 3 separate departments. It includes not only the building of more wetlands, it includes not only the money for farmers to use best practices. That program is going to continue, but the Ohio EPA is getting additional funds so that we can help some of our smaller communities that are having a difficult time having good water, clean water, good sewage system. So it's Jim, it's a continuation of what we started before the pandemic. And as you know, when we went into the pandemic, we made the decision. We're still focused on moving ahead with H2 Ohio. So we funded it last year. We're funding it, very aggressively this year as well.
Governor, I will add to that, to Jim's question. There's $240 million in the budget for H2 Ohio. So it's just that continued investment, as the governor outlined at the beginning, in Ohio and its people. And this was a major part of the foundation which the governor laid out in the last budget, and it's continues to have that priority focus.
I think one of the things that you learn when you spend some time in government is that what you don't want to do is to jump around. Once you make a commitment to do something, and you know it's going to be a multi-year task, as H2 Ohio is, to clean up Lake Erie, deal with the algae bloom problem. We know that that's a decade-long task. We have to continue to do that. We can't take a break. We can't take a holiday. We've got to stay at this. And this is a real commitment to the crown jewel of Ohio, which is Lake Erie.
Next question is Jeff Reddick from WSYX in Columbus.
Hey, Jeff.
Hi, Governor. Good afternoon. Last week when you were asked about the budget, something you mentioned was early childhood education, early childhood development. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think we heard about that today, but could you outline where that money is included and what it pays for?
Sure, we're going to continue. And Jeff, the reason we didn't do that, we have focused today in our remarks on this one-time spending, this one-time focus on Recovery Ohio, focus on getting Ohio moving again. And so that's what my remarks and that's what John's remarks were. Basically one-time programs or one-time investments. But thank you for asking this. Our focus will continue to remain on early childhood education, early childhood development. You will see, and again, Director Murnix, when she talks at 3:30, will be able to give you the full details. Unless, Director, you want to add anything to that right now, because this is something that when I ran for office, this is something in our first state, this is in our first budget. We said we have to focus on our children. We have to invest in their future. There is something wrong when African American mortality for babies is 3 times that of white children. That is wrong. We're going to continue to invest in programs that we know actually work in this area. Another area where you're going to see a significant increase in dollars is in the area of lead paint. And this is something that will help local communities who already have programs and some who don't have programs will allow them to start programs. Director, I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
Sure. Thank you, Governor. As you indicated, you do continue in this budget to invest in the Help Me Grow program, which ensures that our youngest children get off to a great start and helps new moms and their babies. You also are expanding access to childcare, to good childcare programs by increasing the eligibility from 130% to 138% of the federal poverty level and to 150% for children with disabilities. So in addition to the focus on the lead-related initiatives and health initiatives across your budget, we do know that in order for us to have a healthy economy, we also have to have healthy people, and that starts with children. So yes, we continue all of the investments in that area. Thank you.
Next question is from Dustin Ensinger at Gongwer News Service.
Hi, Governor. I know you mentioned that your budget doesn't include any tax increases, but what about fee increases? Are there any of those in there, and could you detail some of those?
Yeah, there's several. I'll have Kim give the numbers, but there's a couple of them in there. One is to help the Highway Patrol and to enable the Highway Patrol to function and not be, frankly, a drain on the general fund budget. This has been a long time coming. It was something we thought about long and hard, but we felt we needed to do this. Director?
Sure. I can provide the details when at the 3:30, but as the governor indicated, there are very few fee increases in this budget. There are some provisions to continue fees and the fee to continue to support the Highway Patrol through an increase in the motor vehicle registration is included in the budget. That was something that was discussed during the last budget and a pending issue that we have worked through over the past 2 years.
Next question is from Andrew Tobias at cleveland.com.
Hi, Governor. I know that there will be more details coming on education aspects of this, it sounds like later, but we're wondering to what extent the school funding formula that you included in your budget accounts for something like Cup-Patterson coming along or whatever it may be from the legislature in terms of them passing something to provide school funding fix.
We once again made a specific decision not to change the funding formula, knowing that both the House and the Senate both had significant ideas and were well along in their process of developing a new formula. So we're going to let the legislative process work and let the members of the House and the Senate work on that formula. So in our budget, we do not change that. We do continue something that the legislature supported last time, and that was our plan for funds that could be used in schools, or what we call wellness dollars, which could be used for medical issues for children, but certainly could be used for mental health. Again, we have big concern about mental health. Pandemic has been tough on kids. It's tough on everybody. And this program will be continued. In fact, we've increased the amount of dollars in that program. One of the things that superintendents asked me during our last budget, and after it was passed, they said, well, can I feel free to go ahead and hire somebody, or can I feel free to go spend this money? Are you going to pull this rug out from under us in the next budget? And I said, no. My commitment is that these wellness dollars are just very, very important, and that we will continue this commitment. As long as I'm governor, we will continue to put money in this budget because that's very important. And it really is an answer to something I've heard from superintendents, teachers for years. And that is, a teacher will tell me, Mike, I can teach, child can learn, but the challenge is what goes on at home, what doesn't go on at home. The child has got this problem or that problem, maybe a medical problem, maybe a psychological problem, other problems. And so this pot of money that we're sending out to the schools in this budget is a continuation of what we did 2 years ago. And it was very well received by the schools, and they told us that they found that money was very helpful. So we're excited to be able to do that again in this budget.
Yeah, Governor, I'll just add to that. A lot of kids who are, as they're coming out of this pandemic, this funding, which will increase in both fiscal years for the wraparound services that the governor outlined, is critical. It was critical before the pandemic. We think they're even more important because it's going to help lift up children who come from disadvantaged backgrounds, who need a little additional assistance, and to help them recover academically and in other aspects of their lives that without what they're getting from the school, it would not be possible for them to have access to.
Next question is Kevin Landers at WPNS in Columbus.
Hello, Governor. If there's one thing we've learned from the pandemic, and you brought it up, is that how underfunded our health departments were because of this. Does this budget address more money for them as we continue to deal with the virus?
Yes, it does. It does. And one of the major areas where, we have to bring our systems up to date and do things that we've not done before, and that's in data. You've seen us over the last year since this pandemic start increase the data that we're able to put out. We've had partnerships with the hospital association, but we need to do this on a permanent basis. We need to make the investments that we need in infrastructure, and this budget goes a long way to do that. Public health has been underfunded in this country for generations. And if there's a lesson from this pandemic, and I guess there's a lot of lessons, one of the lessons certainly should be we can no longer afford to do that if we ever could. And we have to start investing really in public health. And so this budget does that.
Next question is from Laura Bischoff at the Dayton Daily News.
Hi, Governor. Could you talk a little bit about what the plans are for the rainy day fund? Is your budget going to dip into that at all? And if so, how much and when and for what?
This budget does not dip into the rainy day fund. And quite frankly, we had assumed, and I've told you in the past, that we thought this budget would dip in first year and the second year significantly into the rainy day fund. But for the reasons that I've already talked about, we don't have to do that. And again, what the federal government has spent already, and has committed to do till the end of this year is an amount that's not too different from what the rainy day fund is. So that infusion of money, in addition to the cuts that we made, the things that we have done, allow us not to dip into the rainy day fund. Now, what we don't know, we're optimistic the vaccine is here, putting shots in people's arms right now, this very moment. We're going to continue to do that. We're over 750,000 Ohioans. We're going to continue to push just as quickly as we can in regard to that. What we don't know is, and also, Laura, as you know, we're seeing a downward trend in our cases, and we're seeing a downward trend in hospitalization. And that is not just in Ohio, but it's throughout the Midwest. What we don't know is what the future will bring. We don't know what these variants that we're seeing, that the health experts are describing on TV and that we're looking at here in Ohio. We have one in Ohio, an Ohio variant or Midwest variant. We don't know what happens if and when that becomes the dominant strain in Ohio and in other states, and what happens to number of cases. We just don't know the future. And much as optimistic as I am about the future, and my hopes are that as we vaccinate more people, we're going to have fewer deaths, fewer people in the hospitals. But what we don't know is the virus. And the virus has continued to shock us, continued to surprise us. And all you have to do is pick up any paper, pick up the Dayton Daily News, pick up any newspaper, or listen to radio and TV, and you can see how much we do not know. So we have to be prepared in case there is something that comes up that is unforeseen and that we have to hunker down again. We don't want to. It's not what we intend to do, but we can't control this virus. So again, using the rainy day fund is to be used to cover expenses, to keep government spending level, and to keep services level and not have this huge drop. We have been able to do that with this budget without pulling out money from the rainy day fund. Lieutenant Governor?
Thanks, Governor. One of the things that we were very cautious about is when you get this one-time revenue, if you build ongoing expenses into it, you do create that fiscal cliff. And and the director, she'll outline this when you get a chance to talk more with her on the exact numbers at 3:30. But just in Medicaid alone, see, the federal government has picked up a portion of the Medicaid expenditures that the state would normally have to pay. Just in that pickup alone, it almost would consume a great deal of the rainy day fund already. It would be gone. And assuming, so we have to make sure that money is there in case that Medicaid population is up there, but we don't have the recurring revenue to pay for it over time. So that's why this is a cautious approach that makes sure that we have that safety net there for people, that rainy day fund is there going into the future, and that we don't build an expectation of money being there for the future that isn't. So Director will go through the exact numbers in a little bit, but that's why this is really important to handle this in a fiscally conservative and responsible manner.
And Laura, as I said earlier, the federal government has done this, but only up until the end of this year. So we cannot assume that they're going to continue to do that. And if they would stop on that day with this extra dollars for Medicaid, which they very well could, then we have an immediate drop and immediate need for dollars, which we could use, certainly, the rainy day fund for.
Next question is from Nathan Hart at WCPO in Cincinnati.
Hi, Governor. My question is about the 450 for Ohio's communities. I was just wondering, how will communities access these funds, and will the amount of funds that a community has available to them differ depending on factors like size or population or fiscal need?
Yeah, this has been, frankly, a dream of mine for a long time. And that is, when you look at, and this will be for many different size cities, but as you look at Springfield, close to where I live, you look at Lima, you look at Mansfield and Marion, we could go on and on. These are cities that when you talk to the mayors, they have very specific needs, specific things they could do. Many of them are coming back. And what this money will do is allow them to come back faster. Allow them, if they've got a brownfield area that they think they could develop, but they don't have the money to get it ready, enable them to possibly to do that would be one example. I'm going to ask Director Mihalik, who's going to administer this, maybe to answer add anything to that, Director?
Thank you, Governor. What I will say is that, this is a real opportunity for the state to be a strong partner in some catalytic projects in mid-sized communities and smaller across the state. We're looking forward at really putting the details and the parameters into this particular program, but I think that, there's one thing that has been very clear by the governor, and that's he's interested in investing in quality of life and really helping, to really create environments that are conducive for private investment. And so this is an opportunity for us to do that. Thank you, Governor.
Yeah. I mean, you could go on with the cities, Middletown, Hamilton, on. Of course, the director is a former mayor, so she has a real passion for this, and she looks forward to working with the mayors on this.
Governor, can I add on that community investment with broadband? We're going to be looking to get the best return on investment we can for the money we're putting into this. Things that we'll look at are how many people can you serve? What's your time to market? Will it be a cost-effective or cost-competitive program for the consumer? Will it be high-quality, high-speed internet? Things like that we will use as incentives for the private sector to get their money out there and start serving people. This money is going to leverage additional investment as well.
Next question is from Randy Ludlow at the Columbus Dispatch.
Hi, Randy.
Good afternoon, Governor. Fine. We're still unclear on the $1 billion in one-time spending here. How much of that is federal? How much is state? And what is the total of the two-year GRF? And what is the percentage increase?
I'll let Director Murnix answer the questions on all of that. Go ahead, Director.
Sure. Good afternoon, Randy. Of the $1 billion economic package, $150 million of that is from the state's share of the federal coronavirus relief fund. The remainder is from state sources, the one-time revenues in the general revenue fund that the governor outlined. These are revenues that we have achieved through savings, through refinancing the state's debt portfolio, and as the governor and lieutenant governor have outlined, temporary increases in the federal Medicaid matching from the federal government has freed some of our state revenue to be able to be redirected in this way. You asked about the overall GRF revenue baseline forecast for the upcoming biennium. For fiscal year 22, the GRF tax revenue forecast is $24.79 billion, and that is a 2% increase over projected fiscal year 21. And fiscal year 23's GRF tax revenue forecast is $25.64 billion, and that is a 3.4% increase over our projected fiscal year 22. Thank you.
Next question is from Jim Oddie at WHIO in Dayton.
Hey, Jim.
Governor, in general, how are you treating primary, secondary, and then higher education if you're building for the future here? Up, down, sideways? What's the forecast?
Well, we think we're treating them well. I think the higher education is a 1.8% increase, and we have returned K through 12 to the level that we were before the cuts. And Director, you want to add anything to that? We've also increased, again, as I think I may have mentioned, we've also significantly increased the wellness dollars or the wraparound dollars as well. Director?
Governor, that's exactly right. On higher education, we are increasing the state share of instruction, the SSI subsidy, by 1.8% over the biennium. Also making significant investments in scholarship programs, including Choose Ohio First, which provides scholarship to students in the STEM fields. And we are also increasing the per student allocation for OCOG, the Ohio College Opportunity Grant, which makes college more affordable, increasing by $500 per student over the biennium. On the K-12 side, as you indicated, Governor, we are returning the foundation formula to the pre-budget cut, House Bill 166 budgeted amounts. That's about $125 million being returned. And we are increasing the wraparound student wellness and success formula by $100 million each fiscal year. So that totals $500 million in fiscal year 22 and $600 million in fiscal year 23.
Let me just add one thing that we really want to do is increase the scholarship for every Ohio student, whether they're going to a private college or whether they're going to a state university. So we're very happy to be able to do this and very excited about it. Lieutenant Governor.
Yeah, I just want to add, there was also $330 million that the schools received, K through 12 and higher ed. But there was, I think, K through 12, Kim, you'll correct me, around $330 million in BWC rebates that they got at the end of last year, and will be, receiving at the beginning of this year. And then there's, the director might talk more about this in her 330, but a lot of federal funding coming in for education that you will see built into this budget as well for those, one-time, as a one-time revenue source.
Next question is from Joe Ingles at Ohio Public Radio and Television.
Hey, Joe.
Hi, Governor. I wanted to ask you, you say you want to spend $50 million on telling Ohio's story to attract people back, attract new businesses. But do you know why many Ohioans left in the first place? Some younger people are saying they've left Ohio due to leaders passing legislation that hurts working families, women, the LGBTQ community, and people of color. And they say they know it would be cheaper to live in Ohio, but they can't see themselves realizing their American dream here. How do you deal with that?
Ohio is a welcoming place. I don't care who you are. We want you to come to Ohio. It's a progressive state. It's a state that has its fiscal house in order, so you don't have to worry, about taxes being raised, but it's also a question of the quality of life. We're seeing our cities become more diverse. If you look at Columbus, Ohio, for example, is a very diverse community. And that is part of the vibrancy of Columbus. It's part of the vibrancy of Cincinnati and Cleveland and our other major cities. This is just a great place to live. And, the little story that we saw about Ohio being one of the 4 states where people were moving into more, just looking at, the one-way rental, the U-Haul rental, just a little statistic, but I thought that was kind of interesting. But what we want is, our young people who went away, we want them to come back. And we have all of these opportunities, and this is a welcoming state. We welcome everyone to come here.
Governor, if I could just add to that, look, it's been very clear that people are looking for other places to be than these high-cost coastal cities, including a lot of Ohioans who want to come back to Ohio. And this is just an opportunity to connect with them, that they don't want to pay outrageous sums of money for in taxes and in residences and all kinds of things that go with it. Ohio has, as the governor mentioned, we've got small towns with conservative values. We've got some cities with progressive values, and all across the scope, Ohio is a place where no matter what you want, we've got it. And it's going to be, and the good news is it's affordable and we have opportunity. We have one of the most diverse industry mixes of any state in the country. We are the go-to state in the Midwest, and we need to stop being so humble about it and start telling people about it. So they come, so they know this is the place to go and that we're interested in having and helping Ohioans who are here and helping Ohioans who may have gone to school here or may have family here to come back home.
Governor, next question is the last question for this afternoon, and it belongs to Tom Jackson at the Sandusky Register.
Hey, Tom.
Hi, Governor. Governor, your announcement that you're going to target a lot of money to small businesses in entertainment and hospitality will be welcomed in Sandusky. But we also have a business in Sandusky that can't really be called a small business, Cedar Point. is there anything in your budget that will help Cedar Point and other entertainment businesses that were hammered last year by the pandemic?
Well, I'll let the director answer that, but I'll just say, Tom, that I don't run Cedar Point, but my guess is what Cedar Point wants is to get this virus knocked down, and so that people feel free, that they can go, feel comfortable going. And, we're vaccinating people just as fast as we can. And, by the time we hit summer, we're going to have even more people vaccinated. And we hope that the situation is just a lot better. And I think the more we get, we're not going to be back to normal by May, but the more we get to a normal situation in regard to the virus, the better off any entertainment place is going to be, any retail place. People just feel comfortable going there. So thank you. Look forward to seeing everybody tomorrow at our regular press conference at 2:00. Thank you very much.